Hello, and we're back for another episode of Transform with our special guest today, Kane. Thank you for coming on the show. I would like to get started and just ask you the question of what actually got you started in your fitness journey and what sparked that spark in you to start?
Well, thanks for having me on, first of
No,
all. So my fitness journey started probably when I was about, I know it sounds crazy, but about five.
yeah,
My dad was a competitive bodybuilder. My uncle was a competitive bodybuilder at a very high level. Like we're talking like NABBA Universe, Mr. UK, all that stuff.
yeah,
And my dad was also he won a lot of shows in Wales as well, like in the UK.
nice.
So I've been going to bodybuilding shows since I was about five, legit, like five. I went to all my uncle's shows. I was in the crowd and whatnot. And then obviously I moved to Australia when I was eight with my mum. My mum and dad separated. And literally, since I was about 16, 15, I literally have just loved training. So like at school during like lunch, instead of playing sport, no, I love sport, like I love it, but I would go to the gym, like as in ride my bike to the gym, train, come back, and then finish school. And
It's ingrained in you
I,
from a young age.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and you know what? Like it's just something that I just had a passion for, and I've always loved the look of like superhuman look. You know what I mean? That superhuman look,
yeah.
and being around my uncle, who's
Grew up
I
with
mind you,
Hercules, He-Man, and that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
oh man, I used to. Well, I'm like 39, right? So I grew
yeah.
up with wrestling. Yeah.
41. Yeah,
So, yeah. So like Ultimate Warrior was he
yeah,
was the best.
yeah.
Ultimate Warrior.
The coloured paint. Yeah,
He's the best. He's the best. So like that kind
yeah,
of physique was awesome. And being around bodybuilding and training and putting on a bit of muscle, and then in school people are like, oh, Kane, he's got a bit of muscle about him. You know what I mean? And it just spiraled from there. From there, I went to like obviously I started PTing people.
hmm
Did that for a long time, 7 years. And then
It
I
can
competed
burn
when I
you
was
out
20,
sometimes. You know what I mean? Like if you're not careful, you don't
more
need
than,
to, but you like it. You take. I've done it for a while too, and you take it back with you. You don't mean to, but you do. If you know what I mean?
yeah, I
Yeah,
did that for a while. And then,
I still
like,
do.
well,
I still do. That's
yeah,
what. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I
not
do the coaching.
in
I do the
face.
coaching side
Yeah,
now. Yeah, I
yeah.
do the coaching
I don't
side
do
now.
that
So
one.
it's
I just in face.
now used to the training. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all
just in
right.
face.
But, yeah, yeah. But then, like from the age of 20, I started competing.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, it's been 19 years, and I've been competing for a very long time now. And I still love it. And even like my missus is a competitor too. So we've grown up together, like literally been together since we were 16.
Yeah.
16. I should get that right, eh? I think it's 16.
I do the
Anyway,
same thing sometimes when I
yeah,
should
and
know
so
things. And I'm like, hang on,
yeah,
and
I
then
know,
one year off. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
literally. So I've been competing since I was 20. Had a very successful start to my competing career, and then it just kept going. I mean, I started in all the natural shows,
Mm.
did that up until I was 25, and then literally on my 25th birthday, I went to the dark side. Literally, that was how it was. A present to myself, so to
Present
speak.
to yourself.
Yeah, man. And then from there, I've just kept competing. I've done literally, if there's a federation in Australia, I've done
Oh, nice.
it.
You're going to have a lot of insight when I ask you that question. Well, wait, keep telling your story, if that's
Yeah.
okay.
So I competed at most of my time's been in the IFBB. Most recently, but my most recent comp was in NABBA, and
Mm,
NABBA is something that I grew up with in the UK, and my uncle,
mm.
because he in the UK, NABBA was massive, right? It
Yeah,
was huge, and it
it
used to
is.
be huge here as well. It used to be massive here.
Yeah,
And it was just like, oh, this came up. They relaunched it in Australia. And I thought, I came back from a holiday from Vietnam,
yeah.
and I was going to do just a diet for myself and trial a few things, and then I thought, you know what, I'm in pretty good nick here. Is there a show? And the Vic show for the IFBB was like too close. It was way
Mm.
too close. So I
Didn't
thought, is
have
there any
time.
other show to do? Yeah. So I thought, you know what, let's give NABBA a go. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, but I enjoy all competitions. Like it's a challenge.
Mm.
I love the competing part. I love seeing the progress. And it's just, it gives you like a boost. You know what I mean? When you compete and then you finish a competitive season, after that, personally, I'm not that person that, I've got no direction. As soon as the show's done, I'm into my off season, man. I'm thinking about
Yeah,
off season.
that's
I'm thinking
it.
about getting better for not just my next show, just getting better.
Mm.
You know, I normally compete every year to year and a half. With kids, you've got to I've extended it a little bit. A year and a half is probably best. I've got two girls, and one's a very young, very good gymnast, like athlete. So she
Yeah,
trains more than me.
yeah.
Like we're talking like she's 9 and she trains 24 hours a week. So yeah, so it's like
A lot,
it's a full
a
time
lot of
gig.
driving. You'd
Yeah,
have a
so
lot,
she
and then you'd have comps and other things, and you'd be everywhere.
met.
Yeah.
Well, look at this. Well, this weekend, right? This weekend I'm 1 week out, right? So tomorrow we've got my daughter's comp, first comp of the season,
It's
right? So
not a
that's
good
happening.
time to have it while you're on your peak week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So like we
Yeah.
got that, and then but you know what? I don't see it as like
You've done it a lot
I,
though, so you probably relax through it a bit more than normal, Joe. If you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I'm a pretty chill person,
Mm.
and like I don't really get too irate about it. But saying that, I don't care what you do. If you're a competitor and you're coming into peak week, you're pretty cooked. You know what I mean?
Tight.
So it doesn't really matter how many times you've done it. If you're in shape, you're not going to feel. I don't know. Some people are like, "Well, I fucking feel great. I feel great in
Mm.
peak week." I think to myself, "Fuck, man, I don't know if I've ever felt great." You know, but I feel.
Sleep's terrible.
Oh man, sleeping and you're just a bit like on edge. You know, you just I just want. Sometimes you get to a point where now because it's been 4 weeks, or it's going to be 4 weeks in between the shows.
Mm.
It's like man, I could really get this over and done with now. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
4 weeks in between show holding condition is not fun for me.
No, it
I don't
wouldn't
enjoy
be.
that.
You could have used a little bit more time to shuttle a bit more food, obviously, in though. Then you could have, or you didn't work
Yeah,
that well. Yeah,
I
yeah.
did do that, but then you got to think about this. You know, when you come out of a diet and you increase your food a bit, what happens to you?
Oh,
You,
your
you
weight
get
just
fucking.
goes bang, and you hold heaps more
Oh,
water. The water just
mine
goes up
doesn't.
really bad for me. Yeah.
Yes, some of my clients are like that, but I don't normally. That doesn't normally happen to me, but I get hungry as hell. So if I increase my food, my
Yes.
metabolism kicks off, and I'm starving.
I
So then there's
swing.
4 weeks of that.
I swing
Yeah,
like anywhere from like any 1 or 2 days of eating from when I'm like
yeah.
dieted, anywhere from 9 to 5 kilos. My swing is.
No, I can't. Man,
Yeah.
I might die.
My
I might
my
die.
my feet aren't swollen either, so it's not that. It just all
Yeah,
just yeah,
yeah. Some people like just hold on, like their body
yeah,
just sucks it up and holds on to it. Yeah,
yeah. It
and
just
it
fills
takes
everything
like
up.
that. Yeah, it takes like that week, 2 weeks maybe for all your minerals to sort of rebalance
Yeah.
and whatnot. So, yeah, but like bodybuilding for me has been a journey, man, and it's to put it bluntly, like my career now as a coach has sort of been built around my bodybuilding career because
Mm.
I've been in the sort of in that area for over 20 years. I
Yeah,
know
it's
a
a
lot
long
of
time.
people.
Yeah.
You get a bit of you get a lot of respect there, and it's sort of. I'm a teacher by trade, right? I'm a sport teacher.
Okay.
But I quit. I did that for 10 years. I quit that last year to be a full-time coach. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like I've been able to do my dream job. I've been able to train like a bodybuilder, like literally, because I can train when I want, or
Mm.
not when I want, but not after work. And it set me up quite well. So I've got nothing but positivity for bodybuilding
You get
and
to
what it's
set your
brought me.
own hours then too when you get to do that. So you get the flexibility. The only thing is, some people will see that them a benefit you get. The different benefits is what you don't see is all the extra advertising or the extra work you've got to put in where, while you just get paid a wage and go and do it, you know what I mean? Because you're a sole trader,
Exactly.
you've got to
Yeah.
put in all this little bit extra. So sometimes it's a case of, a day just getting through extra shit you wouldn't have to usually do where you get paid your job, you just go, you leave the job, you go back, if you get what I mean. So that's
Yeah.
the disadvantage. But the advantage is your own hours set, and so it has
Yeah.
its wins and it's not, it's
It's got its
yeah,
perks, but it's also quite tough because you're on call 24/7 to a degree. You know what I mean? There's no
yeah,
switch off.
yeah.
So even like next
Weekends
week when
too, you got to sort of always answer in texts and yeah,
like today, I've done like, well, I don't even know how many checks. I just finished like literally an hour and a half ago. Like, but then next week I'm competing. I still got to do my check-ins.
yeah. I
I
do
still
mine
got to
on the
do it.
Friday with them all, so then I have the weekend a bit more rest. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's still Friday.
I do tell my I tell my clients like, listen, you can check in Friday or another day
Yeah,
when I'm competing. but even then, like it's hard for some people. You know, some people can't do it Friday morning. You know,
Mm.
so yeah, you compromise a little bit and make do.
Do it in the evening.
But
For them.
yeah, I know, but I don't know about you, but I go to bed at like 9 o'clock.
I'm 11.
Literally.
I'm 11.
Yeah.
I'm probably up at 6 and then 11. I probably get about 7 or 6 hours sleep. Yeah.
Well, at the moment, I probably get less sleep than that, but I'm in bed from 9.
Yeah. toss and turn.
I just lay like this,
Yeah.
sweating.
You'd be like, this shoulder will be jacked up. You're like, no, I'll roll on the next one now.
Oh man, it is. Like, people don't realize you've got to have a good mist. If she wants to be with a bodybuilder, like we're weird people, man. We're weird. We snore. We're fucking loud. Like we're heavy. It's not a. And look, I'm not even that big. You know, you couldn't imagine what people who are like 130 kilo, like that big boys. You know what I mean? Like they're when I get up to near 100, I feel like I'm about to die sometimes. And I never get out of shape. I'll never get out of shape, but it's a lot of weight on a small frame.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not tall. I'm quite vertically challenged, so to speak. So it's like, it can be different. But then there's the opposite side of competing where you're really light and you feel like frail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I have the other trouble because, like I said, I've always been either too heavy or I overeat. I mean, like I said, I've come down myself. I was like 144 kilos, and I've basically come down. So now I'm about 115, something like that. So I'm
nice.
about there. So we'll see how we go.
What do you want to get down to? Do you know, or you
I think, like I said, we'll see. Hopefully, I can sit about the 1.5. I think that should put me in where I need to be, if you know what I mean, 105. But if it's not, I'll dig deeper. But I think I'm probably like, if I was being realistic, probably 11% at the moment. Then I'll pull down, so I probably think I'll be sitting about there. But by saying that, because I've dieted all the way since last year's March, I'm like very fatigued. I haven't stopped. But I did it deliberately slowly so I wouldn't get this loose skin. If you know what I mean, I have like a little phase, then maintenance for about 3 or 4 weeks, then little phase, boom, 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 and so it just doesn't go. And I think suck all the loose skin as much.
You're not absolutely drained out of your brain, you know. And when you get to near that point, you refresh in it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and push again.
Yeah, I'd push probably like anywhere from 15 to 10 weeks, if you know what I mean. And then
it gives you a bit of like you can see the end of the tunnel a little bit, you know.
The pain in the ass thing, though, it kept going, and the calories are like a little bit less each time, a little bit more each time on the way back up, if you know what I mean. You're like, it's trending down now. It's getting hungrier and hungrier each time, fighting that ghrelin beast. But the ghrelin beast went away as you lose more fat, so that makes it easier as you lose more fat. That's the problem, when you're overweight and you have more, because of that ghrelin issue, it's mostly the hunger that they have trouble with losing, because you create more ghrelin the more fat cells you got, obviously, if you know what I mean. So it makes it harder.
It's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle, isn't it? Yeah.
If you're leaner, though, you don't get that hunger as much.
I've just noticed as well, like for myself and even my clients to compete. I'm not saying people should stay shredded all year, no way. No. But the leaner I can keep myself or my clients, but still be able to grow, makes the prep so much easier. When you've got to pull down like 20, 30 kilo, man,
it's too much.
You're sucking everything out of you, literally everything, and it becomes you're on peanut food, like nothing, bikini food, and you're doing heaps of output, and your body it doesn't look fresh.
What's your thought on output? Sorry to interrupt. As an example, like I'll just cast on mine, because you've done a lot more comp prep, so it might be different. I just look at cardio as basically 200 calories if I'm doing slow cardio. So I can nearly get the same result for pulling 200 calories, if I'm being honest. That's the way I think of it.
I've done it. Do you know what? I've done it so many ways, bro. Like
that's what I thought I'd ask you, because you got
I've coached myself from the day. Actually, I had first coach. My first coach for my first show. Yeah. Mitch Cater, shout out to him. Right, he prepped me for my first show. Mm-hmm. And then since then, I've done it myself, and I've done literally every type of prep you can imagine. I've done keto preps, right? Which, in fairness, was probably the most enjoyable prep, which sounds crazy to me. Like,
I
uh,
hated it. I
yeah,
hated
I
getting
know.
that.
But this is why bodybuilding's so individual, and I don't do it like that anymore. But I tried it because I'm
Yeah,
that person who will try it.
yeah, I've tried it.
You just find that with keto, when I did keto, and it's not real keto, it's
Yeah,
bodybuilding
well,
keto.
yeah, it's
Literally
high protein and yeah.
high protein, just run on fats. That's all it is. But with that, you don't have any. When you do carb cycle or you do a high day, you feel great. The next day you crash
That's
down.
that's
You
that's
don't
what
get.
I do. I do that with 3 days.
Mm.
I find that works the
Yeah,
best.
yeah. But I've done I've done keto. I've done high output. This prep, I tried to keep my output lower,
Mm,
and just rely on nutrition more.
yeah,
It did work really
my
well.
my
But
legs stay bigger when I do that, and they don't go
yeah,
away. If you get what I
of
mean,
course.
they
And
stay there.
what I found for me, if somebody's got weaker legs,
Yeah,
doing a lot of outputs on a treadmill or on something
mm,
like that can really whittle them away.
yeah,
So
100%.
my legs are not my weak point, so I don't have an issue with that. But some of my clients really do. And
Mm.
then what I tell people is, listen, get a seated bike, right? I call it fat man bike. The fat man bike, you sit down, pedal, and look, it's
The
not
recumbent where you're leaning back.
recumbent bike.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And when you're doing that, it's not that taxing, man.
No.
But if you're just using it as calorie burning,
Mm,
I'm not doing sprints and stuff like that. But I found doing the high output, you can eat more,
yeah,
but you're just refueling your fatigue, so to speak. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
With the lower output, you get to eat less, but I feel like your training performance stays higher because I'm that person to do more than less. So
yeah.
say we're doing low output but lower food, I'll go I used to. I used to push the low food, like really, like
You
too
become
much.
your own worst enemy then
Oh,
because you push yourself harder. Yeah,
I'm just sadistic, man. Like I'll do stuff like I've done stuff like over the weekends. I've got a day off today. All
yeah.
right, I'm going to do 3 hours of cardio and zero carbs. I've done it. I've done it many
You
times.
don't need to do
Yeah,
that, though.
I don't need to do it.
You
Especially me, I
don't
don't need to
do
do
that.
that. But like I learned the hard way, and you
Yeah,
learn like that.
yeah,
So it's
100%.
it, it is interesting. But I do find if you can find a balance for yourself, like me personally, I do about 12. At the moment, I'm doing less, but average about 12K steps.
Yeah,
I do cardio every morning, so I've got on the treadmill 30 minutes every morning,
yeah,
all year, like all year.
yeah.
And if I just keep that the same and just use the nutrition,
You're just used to it.
um,
Yeah,
yeah, and like it's not that bad. It's not
no,
that bad at all.
because you
So
relax and it's
obviously,
your relaxed state and you're not forcing it. If you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, there have been times where, man, I've done crazy stuff, bro. I've done silly stuff, but you learn from it.
That's the
And in
thing with
bodybuilding,
anecdotal evidence, like the way that one thing's written on a paper will work out different when you add it to practical with other people, and some people it's the
it's
same.
like
Does
it's
work.
like it's
Yeah,
like nutrition, man. Like
yeah,
some people say you shouldn't have more than X amount of protein. You shouldn't have. Everyone's different. You
yeah.
know,
The absorption
I'm a
rate's different.
I'm a very high protein dieter, like a
Mm.
very high compared to most.
What is
It
your
works well.
protein if we're there then?
Mm.
What is your
What
protein
pardon?
if you what is your protein intake if you're high there?
Are you talking about generally, or are you talking about like now? Because
Just
at the moment, it's in a weird spot. Generally, in the off season,
just do genuinely because that's what you usually gauge off because you eat more or whatever. Yeah.
generally I'm sticking around at 330 to 350 per day
Yeah.
grams,
So that's nearly
and
the
I'm
same
like,
as me. Mm.
yeah, and I've just found that works for me. If I get my carbs up really high, my blood glucose is all over the place. Like I just don't produce enough insulin to support it. Could I use insulin to support it? Yeah, of course I could.
Don't need
But
to though,
when you're
either.
in, yeah, you don't always need to.
Yeah.
Sometimes, look, I'm not going to say that I don't use insulin because I have used it many
Yeah.
times, a lot of times. But I found as I got older, my ability to process carbohydrates is lower.
Yeah.
And it might just be that I've been bodybuilding for 20 years, so my pancreas has just been cranked for the whole time. But I think the older,
Sorry to break in you and interrupt you. When you do that, do you find at a certain level, is that like at 400, 300, so you got that happy medium, so then that doesn't happen, then because
yeah,
everyone's got that point that works well before that will start to do that, and that's your point then, because that's your
mine is
individual
about
shooting. Yeah.
mine is about when my carbohydrates get above about 450.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Right,
Yeah.
I start running, and everyone sees high blood glucose in different readings. But for me, if I'm waking up with say my A1C is getting up around the 5.5, it's too high. You know, if my fasted blood glucose is in the fours, high fours, low, medium fours, that's great. When it's in the fives, peak off season, you could deal with that, right? But you don't want to be there too long. You know, you're not insulin sensitive then. You're not partitioning food that well. You start to feel tired all day. You know, you have a meal and you're doing these ones. Everyone who's eaten a lot of food knows you will eat a meal and you're like, I just want to lay down and fall asleep for a bit, you know? So I don't like to be like that because it's not productive. It's like peak off season. I'm not as productive.
It's not shuttling it into the cell correctly either. So he's not getting the advantage. Yeah. Where that little bit of insulin sometimes does help it. But like I said, it's better not to if you don't have to.
Exactly.
But if you're jamming in 1,000 grams of carbs a day, you're going to need that.
Exactly. Exactly. We're not robots,
no.
You know. So I've found for myself around that point, I have to sort of think about using insulin, whether it's pre or post or something like that. And also, it depends on what your protocol is as well, whether you're using GH and whatnot, whether you've got insulin resistance from that, and just how you set up your nutrition, you know. So it's bodybuilding so individual that I've got clients who getting, one of my clients, and this is no joke, 7,000 calories a day, right? Every day.
That's a lot.
That's disgusting.
That's a lot. I'd like it.
Nah, you might like it for a few days, but like, I don't know, man. When I send him the nutrition, I go, brother, I hate to do this to you, man. Gotta crank it up. And look, he's a big boy. He's like 120 kilos, right? In shape.
When I used to powerlift on that, because like I used to powerlift there for a period of time, it was about 10,000 calories like a day. I loved eating that many food. I loved it. It was about 150 when I was doing that then. It was about 100.
You're a big boy at heart, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? You're a big man at heart, yeah. You're a big eater at heart, yeah?
I was hungry all the time. All the time.
Like, I can eat, but then when I think about it like that, if I had to eat that, the amount of protein, I don't think I'd be able to get 10,000 in, bro. Maybe after a show.
I got used to it. It was not go to 10,000. It was stages.
No. You take it up.
There's no way I could have just went 10,000. But by saying that, my alarm would go off, and I'd be like, "Oh no, not again." I made it easier just by drinking 2 liters of milk while I went to bed. I was like, "Yeah, let's get the milk. Let's just do the milk. Let's just do the milk."
I'll be waking up.
Didn't break down properly because the molecule's too big. But anyway, let's just do the milk.
I'll be doing abo paintings in the toilet all morning if I did that.
No, I'm not lactose intolerant. Maybe as I get older.
Yeah, I'm not really lactose intolerant, but I feel like it just wouldn't. 2 liters, I can't imagine.
I don't do hardly any dairy now, though. By saying that, I was much younger. I don't do hardly any. Yeah.
As you get older, you can't eat a lot of shit, man. You can't do shit like that.
No,
you know?
No.
It's funny. Like after a show one time, I remember my missus competed, right? Her first show, and I coached her. She's my first client, and she won the overall Miss Victoria, whatever, you know. Yeah. First show, natural. And I go afterwards, hey, we're going to go get milkshakes. And partly because I know how it felt, and she's like, yeah, I want to have that. I gave her milk. But listen, have you seen someone in that fetal position after, like, you know, when they get home and they're still hungry? Oh, but you know, after you're still hungry, so you're like, oh, I feel so bad. What else can I eat still? You know, back in the day when I used to.
I had stomach cramps similar. Like I only just had that story because I've never had anything like that. I took the kids to all-you-can-eat Pizza Hut, and it was like it was only one day, basically one day. Or like there was a second day after I come off like one of them phases. I thought, I'll just have 2 days, eat what I want for 2 days, then back to it. You know what I mean? So I did that. And when I did, I was like cramping up on the way home in the car, ate too much. And it was the ice cream. You know how they got that ice cream machine? I got like two bowls of that thing. And that's what did it to me, talking about milk. I was no. So everyone avoids, don't do it. Don't know milk after the show.
Funny story about pizza. When I was young with my mates, right? Yeah. We used to go there when we were young, wait out the front, literally as it opened, we'd go in, get the... Yeah, we used to live near it. So we used to go there, fresh pizzas, right? We'd stay there for like 4 hours. In my head now, I'm thinking to myself, if I did that now, I don't think I'd be eating for 3 days. You know what I mean? We would just be like, ice cream. Start off with ice
Yeah,
cream,
yeah,
pizza, ice. Oh man,
yeah,
madness! And as you get older, your tolerance for shit like that,
yeah.
you can't do
No,
it. You can't
most
do it, man.
most of them are gone now. There's only a couple around still. We've got one of
There's
them
not
close to
many.
us. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
dangerous, dangerous.
Dangerous. The kids loved it though.
Uh, oh, the kids love it. My daughter's gluten intolerant, so we ain't
I made
doing
a
any of
typical.
that. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, mate.
all my free meals in the office. Like, I do a free meal with the family every week,
Yeah.
and ours are all home cooked because it's just easier.
It's cleaner
I actually
too.
love.
It's cleaner and it
I,
tastes better. You're not gonna eat that rubbish shit majority of the time when I
mm,
notice it. It doesn't fill me up, and I've got to pay like 50 or 60 bucks just to be full, and then I feel like shit for 2 days after I eat it anyway. Wake up
exactly.
I wake up with a hangover or something. Like you get like a nose is all
You're
dry and
messed up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Where I'd
No,
have a burger at home, I don't have that issue.
and you know what? You're at an age now where you know what you like. You know how to cook it.
Yeah,
So if you want to put a bit more flavor in it, like your normal food, but put some, marinates in it and stuff like that, it just sits better in you,
yeah.
So I find that's just, especially like my clients, like I say, listen, if you want to do a cheat meal, you could do your cheat meal out and about. But if you want to feel better about yourself and actually have nourishment, cook it at
More
home.
productive. Yeah,
Yeah, cook
calories
it
are
at
better.
home. And then
Not
like
as
when
much
you do it at
shit.
home,
Saturated
yeah, well,
fats.
you know what's in it and stuff like that. It's just a lot easier. But yeah, man, like there's so many ways that you can go about bodybuilding. But once you get to a certain age in your bodybuilding career, everything is sort of what works for you and what makes
Mm,
you feel good.
yeah.
And when you're younger, you're sort of exploring all that. Yeah, and then, to be honest, when you're younger, everything feels good. Now, not the case.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah. So
Not
you've
the
got
case.
you've got the Worlds coming up. Are you excited for that? And yeah,
Yeah, like what's next Sunday?
yeah.
So
Less than a
I'm in
week,
two
8 days.
classes.
8 days, isn't it?
8 days, man, 8 days. So I'm in two classes. Mostly, look, I'm a classic. Look, I used to compete in classic physique in
Mhm.
IFBB,
Yep.
but I outgrew the weight cap, so
Yeah.
I can only do bodybuilding, which
What
I
was
love
your
both.
weight cap for that?
For in IFBB,
Yeah, what was the weight cap?
80, 82 point no. The new weight cap is like 82, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah. I think
And then it used to be 80.
mine's a 92. So I can't get in
Okay.
there unless I'm 92. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But Nava's good.
I'm not going to sacrifice 5 kilos of muscle for that, and I'm unsure of the
Yeah.
taper yet. Anyway, we've got to wait and see.
Yeah.
It,
So
it
now
transitions.
I just
Sorry, it transitions different on stage too. When you're standing next to someone else, compared to standing by yourself, it's a big
definitely,
difference.
man.
If you get what I mean. Sorry to interrupt you.
Mm.
Keep going. I just wanted to get that out before I forgot it. I'll
Yeah.
forget.
But like, yeah, so like I said, it's 8 days away. So we got I'm doing classic and I'm doing the class two.
Yeah.
So you know what? Like I said, I'm super excited, but I just wish it was this weekend. I'll be honest. I wish it was even last weekend.
You've had enough. You've had that stage. Yeah.
Because you know what? Like when you're ready, you're ready.
Mm.
The perfect scenario would be having 2 weeks in between, because
Yeah.
you can get the water off, you can reset properly. When you've got another 2 weeks on top of that, it's like, far out, man. It's a long time. Because you know how you feel. Yeah.
I'll take that in consideration when I do decide to pick. I'll think of that the 2 week protocol is better than having 4, because I thought a 1 would be probably a little bit more difficult. So a 2's about perfect. Then you reckon?
Yeah, one is only good if you do not peak for the first show.
Oh, you deliberately
So
don't peak properly.
Yeah, like, oh look, you can peak, but don't pull water hard, don't pull electrolytes, because then you get the rebound from that. So, but then who wants to, like, I personally don't like to come into a show and be like, oh, I'm not really peaking for that. Nah, listen, I like to come into a show and I want to be the best I can be on that day. You know what I mean?
100%.
So I'm saying
That's
this, but I've never done it I've never done it like that.
Yeah.
So, like, but yeah, 8 days. So this weekend now, I take 2 rest days. So Saturday, Sunday's off.
Yep.
Not normally, but this is how I set up my peak. So like Saturday, Sunday off, quite low carb. Today's actually no carb, just protein, fats, just to see how I drop some water. It's all data. It's all numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll start probably like a linear load at the start of the week and just taper it up. And then
so a linear load's just like a preload before, yeah, and you slowly add it all in.
Yeah, like Monday I'll start at
Yeah.
baseline because I know where my maintenance is, and then I'll just slowly add carbohydrates until I find a look that I like.
Yeah, yep. You
But
just mirror it in
yeah,
and then, yeah, let's
yeah,
hold
follow
that.
it. But then I personally cannot have a lot of food in my stomach the day before the show. That's just
Gotcha.
me. So
Yeah.
look, as I got older, I've noticed that if I have too
Does
much food,
that bloat? Does it bloat the lower
yeah,
midsection? That's why them. Yeah.
distension.
Yeah.
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 So literally the day before the show, I eat fucking hardly anything.
Yeah.
Like literally, I will eat meat and some fats, and it will just hold me over. Even the morning of the show, I don't eat any food. I don't the whole show day. I don't eat any food, and it's quite a new thing for me. But I have found that if I can keep my waist super tight, right, it just looks better. But you have to make sure you're loaded before you do that, because that day before, when I have no food and very low, no carbohydrates, you drop a lot of water. So if you're not,
Be less
if you're not,
changes too. Then technically, you wouldn't have to change as much.
yeah,
You're not playing the guessing game then either.
no, and like I said, today I'm practicing what I'm doing next week without the water reduction, right?
Yeah.
To see how much you drop. It's all numbers, but like I find the less food I eat the day before, the flatter my stomach is. Hopefully I can do a poo in the morning of the show, because that's always a good thing.
You find that
right?
Carbohydrates you just eat without fiber, and then it usually won't have that issue as much, or you still have the bloat.
I know carbohydrates for me, it's inflammatory in general. For me, in my gut. Look, everywhere else looks mad. I can get super full, but when you get super full in the midsection and that's your centerpiece, you got to find the trade-off. So
it won't
you've
flow
almost
right.
You've almost got to fill up. I've almost got to fill up and spill quite a little bit, and then clean it up. And that's how I do it. So and that's sort of a new approach, to be honest, because I used to do the traditional. I backload.
It's the first I've heard of it. That's why I was asking you more questions. I've never heard of that way before.
I just know that for people that have abdominal control issues due to food, no food in there works really well. But you've got to be fueled up before. So in the morning of the show, this sounds really weird. I drink water. Yeah, I drink, but it's limited. But I do drink. But like the morning of the show, literally, I would just have. I know this sounds really weird, but I'll have like a couple of tablespoons, 1 tablespoon of fish oil. That sounds yuck, right? The ethical nutrients one. 1 tablespoon of that, and like another tablespoon of macadamia nut oil. Yeah. Now it sounds weird, but
central
the fats just keep me some energy. They don't bloat me. It's liquid, so it's not going to bloat my stomach. And I can just survive off that for the day.
So you just don't do no protein that day, just only fats?
Yeah,
isn't the muscle tissue made up with a certain amount of fats as well?
Yeah, there's intramuscular triglycerides.
Yeah,
but
that's the one. Yeah.
I try and load them. Like today, I'm loading them, right? And then the day before the show, I just keep the fats in there to hold the load.
Because they stay in for 3 days usually. Because if you do strict keto and things, you can carb cycle. Well, not carb cycle, you fat cycle. You can do that too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I've done that as well. I just find that, like, for me, I'm such a low-fat dieter during the year. I don't really use fats. I just use essential fatty acids. That's all I really need to use. I don't need the hormone production. I get that through the 3cc, right? So not do 3cc, but hey, you get through the
TRT.
So, yeah. Just to the replacement dose. Yeah. Right. So you get it through that, and just filling up your triglycerides gives you a little bit more pop, and also it tastes good. Like when you don't have fats, and today I had salmon.
It would.
Today I had salmon, and I was like to my missus, I'm like, oh, this is delicious. She's like, you're eating plain salmon, man. Like, yeah, it's cool. I was like, oh.
I do all my fats on the 2 low days. So I do me 4 medium and me 1 high, and I do all my fats on them 2 days, and just loaded for the week.
Yeah. In the off season, I normally do like my rest days are no fats. I mean no carbs. Sorry. So it's protein, fats. Every other day that I train is protein and carbs and very low fat. So just adding them in can give you a little bit more fullness, because I think they say you get about 1 or 2% more fullness from the triglycerides inside the muscle cell. Okay. So in the scheme of things, it's not much. But as bodybuilders,
everything helps.
I'll take anything, man. I'll take anything. And you're not going to spill. You're not going to spill from using fats.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
if you
that's
overload
probably the
carbohydrates,
worst thing. Like, like you explaining how you spill before. If you spill, it's always better to come in a little bit back, obviously, not quite spilling, because then you can always fix that, or attempt to fix it.
yeah,
You're not going to really fix it much because you need lots of water to add it all in there. But beside the point, like it will look better by undershooting than overshooting when you add them too many carbs in. It gives you that
and I've
bloated,
done that.
watery look. You have?
I've done.
Yeah.
Mate, I've
Did
done
you
some.
find did you find that number changed like each different show too and didn't stay the same? So like
Yeah.
sometime you'll
No,
get away with this and you'll try to repeat it and this won't work the same. You got to do something new.
hey,
Yeah.
you want to know something crazy I've done? People saw me backstage doing this. I could not do this now. There's no way in hell.
Yeah.
Last time, when was it? Not last time. The time before I won the Vic Classic Bodybuilding overall, about 2 hours before I went on stage, right? You know the pavlovas you can buy from Coles?
Yeah.
They're big. They're family pavlovas.
The big Christmas one. Yeah, that one's on now.
I took that in. I took that backstage in the big thing. People are like, what do you got in there? I go, pavlova.
Sugar and egg.
And,
It'll work. It'll
and
do the job.
no shit. What I did that day was I'm not recommending this, by the way, right? But I didn't eat my food for the morning. I used some insulin, ate the pavlova, right? I have never, I won the show.
Would have shuttled everything straight to the...
I was like a bull. But it's very short term. So if you get the timing wrong...
If it's a long show, like that's going to be a pain in the butt. If it's a nice, short, quick one, maybe a different story. Yeah.
And I had no bloat, nothing. Yeah. I ate about 3/4 of the pavlova, right? That's a lot. But because it's like air, it goes in.
Yeah,
And people backstage are like, man, what are you doing? How are you doing that? I go, but you got to try. I've seen people do things like that, and I try. It worked.
That's why I like the rice bubbles for like that. If I want like a higher amount of carbs for less eating, just quick to get it. You know,
rice bubble squares are good because they sort of.
I don't use them. I usually just use like the straight rice bubbles.
Oh yeah,
lots of honey on it.
Next time, try the squares. Yeah. Because they got the marshmallow in there. There's sugar, right? But when you eat them, they melt in your mouth. So there's no volume. There's no volume in it because rice bubbles they're puffed rice, so you get a lot. But a condensed square bar is like 30 carbs. It's like that, and it melts in your mouth. Yeah. So if you do try, you got to try it. But
I'll try.
There's so many things you can do and trial and whatnot. But yeah, these days, man, it's literally no food, just water, and make sure you just preloaded, and just get up there and give it your all.
100%. 100%. Yeah. So how did you go in the last show you just did? What did you place? How did you go?
So these bad boys here, those two.
Oh, so you did the overall?
Yeah, so I did I won the Classic Bodybuilding overall, and I won the Mr. Southern Hemisphere overall. So the whole
nice
show.
One. Congrats.
So, and the cool thing, the one good thing about NABBA, which I've never experienced, actually no, I have won prize money at a show before, right? So when I competed in WFF, probably 10 years ago, I was a pro in the WFF. I did the pro show, and I came fourth. So I won like $800. I was like, fuck.